back to channel. Today we are going to see the Mycobacterium tuberculosis. So these are the acid fast roots and they are filamentous and fungal mycelium. So they are known as mycobacteria and first observed by the Robert Koch. There are three groups like obligate pathogens, opportunities pathogens and saprophytes. Obligate pathogens means compulsory pathogens, means they need a complete, they can grow only in the host. So examples you can take tuberculosis, bovis and africanum and M. leprae causing the leprosy. And opportunistic means whenever they get the opportunity they will enter, and these are known as atypical mycobacteria or MOTT. So you can take examples as M. kanaski, M. avm and also many others. So they causes the disease known as tuberculosis. So what are saprophytic mycobacteria? Here examples are Smegmatis, Feli, Pterocoris, Butyricum, and these are non-pathogenic. So remember, saprophytic mycobacteria are non-pathogenic. And what are the morphological features? Before going to that, let us see the overview. These are the aerobic acid fast rods, highly lipid content. About 60% of the cell wall makes the mycobacteria acid fast. So the major pathogens are Mycobacterium tuberculosis and the pathogen of tuberculosis, and leprae is a pathogen of leprosy. So first let us learn about the Mycobacterium tuberculosis. So these are rod causes tuberculosis worldwide. M. tuberculosis causes more than deaths any other single microbial agent. So approximately 1/3 of the world population is infected with this Mycobacterium tuberculosis. So what are the morphological features? These are the acid fast rods about 2 to 3 mu into 0.4 mu, and they are straight, slightly curved, rounded ends, and these are branching filamentous, you can see, and they are also beaded barred forms seen especially in sputum. So we can find them in sputum and arranged singly or small clumps. You can see some are single but some are in clumps like this, and they're non-motile, they're not movable, non-sporing, non-capsulated. And the bovis is a straight, stout and short as compared to tuberculosis. So we can differentiate tuberculosis and bovis like this. They are short, bovis are short. And the acid fastness you can see due to the presence of mycolic acid around the cell wall. This is important point. So because of the mycolic acid, they are giving the acid fast test where they are appearing like a red color, you can see here. So useful in how we can identify them by two stains we are using, Zn stain and fluorescent stain. So Zn stain appear red with a blue background. Here you can see this is Zn stain, red and the blue background. So fluorescent stains, smear stains with auramine O and rhodamine. These are observed under fluorescent microscope, and the bacilli appear yellow there and the luminous rods in a dark field. So I can show you a picture here. So this you can take, they appear yellow and luminous rods in the dark field. And it's coming to characters. So they're obligate aerobes, optimum temperature is 37, pH is 7 and takes 2 to 8 weeks to grow on the medium, and generation time is 14 to 15 hours and grows well on especially enriched media like serum, potato, blood and also egg. So M. bovis is a microaerophilic, but M. tuberculosis is an obligate aerobe, that is it completely requires oxygen for its growth. So they prefer to be in our lungs because they have lot of oxygen there. So this rod causes tuberculosis, this already with them. So biological characters as we discussed, long, slender, slightly curved, unusual cell wall, acid fast stain positive, 1 to 4 meter in length, gathering into a masses. So you can see the pictures of tuberculosis, how they are looking. And culture property, the nutritional liquid is high. Media used is Lowenstein-Jensen medium containing complex nutrients. So what are the mediums? Now let us observe that. So culture media are mainly divided in two types, solid media, liquid media. In the solid media we use mainly containing the egg, that is the Lowenstein-Jensen medium, Dorset egg medium, Pertegnane medium. And in containing blood is known as Starches medium. Containing potato is known as Pawlowski medium. Containing serum is called as Lofresh serum slope. And the liquid media, there are Dubos media, Middlebrooks media, Proscus media. So these are the medias, and amongst all the solid media we should remember this, the Lowenstein-Jensen medium is the most commonly used and it is accepted by the International Union Against the Tuberculosis. And in the Middlebrook 7H10, 7H12 can also be used. So why we are using all this? The advantage is this allows the transparent detection of the colony. They are transparent, so can we easily find them. And the solid media are usually used for the cultivation, and liquid for sensitivity testing, biochemical reactions and also antigen and vaccine preparation. So remember, in solid media we can also prepare vaccines. So these are the important points. So how the colony appears? So you can see here the colony. So how this appears? This appears as a dry, rough, raised, wrinkled, irregular and rough, buff and tough. So these are rough, tough and buff. So you can see here, and we can improve the growth by adding 0.5% of the glycerol, and also it doesn't grow on the medium with p nitrobenzoic acid, and they are luxuriantly grown in the culture. Growth is described as eugonic growth. This is important. And in liquid media, the growth occurs as bottom creeps up the sides, forms a prominent surface pellicle, and extends along sides above the medium. So this is about the tuberculosis growth. And the biochemical reactions inside the cell are mostly inactive. MQ glows slowly. The doubling time is only 18 hours. And dry, rough, buff colonies, as we discussed, and we use mainly Lawrence and Jensen. So you can see dry, rough, tough, buff colonies here. So we are using new techniques nowadays for the rapid growth. They are like BACTEC system, and they're more sensitive than the routine culture. So we use a special broth here like liquid media with radiometric growth detection, and usually the C14 label substrate is used, and the CO2-14 is evolved due to the bacterial metabolism. So biochemical test, we need to see some tests what we use here to find out mycobacteria. Niacin test, neutral red test, aryl sulfatase test, nitrate reduction test, amidase test, catalase and peroxidase test, susceptibility of to pyranizamide, susceptibility to TCH. What is TCH? Thiophene 2 carboxylic acid hydrazide. And also we use the twin 80 hydrolysis. So these are the some tests we need to do to find this. And how resistant they are. They're unusual cell wall, somewhat strong resistant because it is relatively resistant to acids alkalis. NaOH is used to concentrate clinical specimens. It destroys the unwanted bacteria in the human cells, so we can obtain only tuberculosis there. So this is resistant to dehydration and therefore survives in the dried sputum too. So no resistant to heat or ultraviolet ray. So they even in the dried sputum they are present, so easily transferred to other persons. So mycobacteria can be viable in the sputum for 20 to 30 hours, and in droplet nuclei for 8 to 10 days, and in cultures for 6 to 8 months. And they are relatively resistant to disinfectants and sensitive to formaldehyde and glutaraldehyde. So the formaldehyde glutaraldehyde can kill them, and also bacilli are killed to 2 hours after exposure to direct sunlight. And ethanol is a good disinfectant which can kill it in 2 to 10 minutes. So ethanol we can use it. So next let us see pathogenesis and immunity. So first we need to understand the virulent factors. So what are these? This amphibian produces no exotoxins and does not contain endotoxins in its cell wall. So all virulent factors consist in the unusual cell wall. So let us understand about cell wall. This cell wall has lipids, proteins, polysaccharides, and it is made up of 4 layers mainly from inside to outside. Remember it, the order: peptidoglycan, arabinogalactan, mycolic acid layers, and mycocytes. So remember, from inside to outside there again peptidoglycan, arabinogalactan, mycolic acid layers, and mycocytes. So this is the order. And next, why actually importance of this cell wall? Let us understand their acid fastness, impermeability to stains, resistance to acid and alkali, resistant to antibodies and complements in our body, so they can grow efficiently in our body, and slowness of growth by reducing permeation and nutrition to the cell, hydrophobic character of bacteria because of which they tend to adhere each other during growth in the liquid media. So this is the importance. And what are the 2 types of antigens present in this? These are group specific polysaccharide antigens and type specific protein antigen. So various protein antigens and polysaccharide antigens are used in the serological test to detect the antibodies. So this is important. And there are different phases, especially 4 different phases, that is A, B, C and I. And the common phase is the A, that is worldwide distribution, and I is India. India, you can remember, and neighboring countries. So I is also in neighboring countries. And phase 33D can lies the tuberculosis, M. bovis, M. african, but not the BCG. So what are the types of tuberculosis based on organ? So we need to understand this, that is, it is not, tuberculosis mainly acts on our lungs, that is pulmonary tuberculosis, but it also acts on other organs like cough forming renal tuberculosis, tubercular meningitis, bone and joint tuberculosis, miliary tuberculosis, and also intestinal tuberculosis, skin tuberculosis. So not only lungs, it also affects many other organs if their immune system is too weak. So here in clinical findings, what they would be like fever, evening rise of temperature, cough with expectoration, hemoptysis, that is blood in the sputum, and weight loss, loss of appetite, and also signs of the pleural effusion or consolidation, cavity. So let us see clinical findings here. The primary lesion of tuberculosis occurs in the lungs. This is known as granuloma also. Because of granuloma and their calcification, these are appeared, and lesions also occur in other sites such as kidneys, brain, as we discussed just now. And the tuberculosis is a chronic disease caused by Mycobacterium tuberculosis, which may infect almost all body tissues organs, but pulmonary tuberculosis is the most common in the clinics. So let us see pulmonary tuberculosis. First, let us understand its roots. So someone, if they inhale this tuberculosis, they reach directly lung and ingested by the alveolar macrophages. So in the alveoli there are macrophages, they try to eat them. So in that what happens, but this resists them, that is they multiply in the macrophages and forms a Ghon's focus. This Ghon's focus is nothing but granuloma. If you remember pathology, you understand granuloma is outer cell wall which is forming inner caseous necrosis, so that cells die. But in a healthy individual, they die. But in a lower immune system people, they still resist and they grow more. So next they enter the hilar lymph node involvement and they form the primary complex. So in the primary complex they may form healing and calcification, or else they may form hematogenous. So what is this hematogenous? They are miliary meningeal disseminated tuberculosis. So hematogenous means they are going into other organs. But healing and calcification leads to cause latent infection, that is reactivation or exogenous infection. This is also causing the secondary tuberculosis, that is usually the pulmonary tuberculosis. So we need to understand M. bovis root also. M. bovis is a bacilla excreted mainly in the milk of an animal. So whenever we drink that raw milk, the primary infection causes cervical lymph nodes or mesenteric lymph node infection, and which is spreading to again extrapulmonary sites. So extrapulmonary sites, one is the M. bovis, and the tuberculosis, it's directly attacking our lungs. So let us understand the pulmonary tuberculosis. So this is, you can see, a normal lung, normal patient that is having only primary lung lesion here is. So a person no contact with the tuberculosis. So here you can see that this is a usual caused by M. tuberculosis that has survived in a dormant primary tubercle. If you remember, first the primary tuberculosis, next the secondary. Primary is that if it is encapsulated in the granuloma or calcified, then it may not sometimes, if in a healthy person, it may not pass. But if it is resistant to that, then it may enter into the secondary phase, that is a post primary case. So you can see this how it is forming many lesions in the lungs. This we can find out in the x-rays. And what is the primary infection? Acute exudative inflammation. You can see the infection becomes self-limiting. Most people are unaware of it. No symptoms, only by chest radiograph sometimes shows initial. So actually the primary infection is asymptomatic. They just act as carriers, that is transferring to other persons, but it doesn't cause any like only just fever like that. Approximately 10% to post-primary infection. So what is this post-primary infection? Is a classic symptom with fever, fatigue, cough, hemoptysis, night sweats, weight loss are common. So chronic hyperplastic process is granulomas and also caseous necrosis, as I discussed just now. So what is the immunity for this? So in immunity is mediated by cellular immunity, mainly T cell, because of T cell. And M. tuberculosis infection situation of body could be reflected by allergic reaction, that is hypersensitivity to reaction, which activated by the antigen from the M. tuberculosis. So you can see this type of immunity reactions in our body when this tuberculosis enters. And next we need to see the specimens. We use mainly sputum, laryngeal swab, bronchial washing and gastric lavage, because sputum and this laryngeal bronchial washings, because it is lung infection. And in meningitis we use CSF. In renal tuberculosis we use urine and other samples depending on the site involved. So we transport it by using NaCl, that is cetrimide chloride, because it is added to the sputum and it liquefies sputum and prevents growth of other bacteria. So it maintains the viability up to 8 days, and only tuberculosis is purely found in it and no other bacteria are found. And you can see the pleural fluid should be collected in a citrate bulb if we collect the pleural fluid. And what are the microscopic methods? We need to understand that the blood tints and purulent part of sputum are used for the preparation of smears, and liquid specimens like CSF, pleural fluid, urine should also be centrifuged, and sediment is used for the preparation of smears. And sensitivity microscope is 10,000 bacilli of sputum. So what are the methods for demonstration? We can demonstrate it by Jekyll-Nelson stain. That is a acid-fast bacilli against blue, green, yellow background, and fluorescent stain, it shows the yellow luminous rods against a dark background. So this we need to remember. And next we have, here you can see tuberculin reaction. So what is this reaction? Actually it is like a test we do for this. We can identify this tuberculosis by slow growth and also no pigment production, no growth on paranitrobenzoic media, weakly catalase positive, niacin positive, nitrate reduction is positive, susceptibility to pyranizamide and resistant to TCH, and sensitivity testing is the resistant ratio method, absolute concentration technique, proportion method, and also Backtech methods are used nowadays. And we also do animal inoculation, but we are not doing it because it is having disadvantages, like it resembles the culture and sensitivity testing, but culture technique is safer and simpler, and animal maintenance is not cost effective, and excretion of the vessel and urine of animal may be hazardous again. So this all risks are there. And how tuberculin test is useful, because it is actually having the type 4 hypersensitive reaction, and let us understand this now. So antigen from the cell wall of M. tuberculosis, that is PPD, was injected intradermally, so on the skin we inject it, and after 48 hours the diameter of induration was measured. So the diameter judges the result of tuberculin test, is the value of diameter depending on the status of the individual being tested. So you can see the procedure how we are giving it intradermally. So if the diameter is less than 5 millimeters is negative, if it is 5 to 15 millimeters then positive. Because why we are saying this, because when we give this tuberculin, actually whenever our body is already infected with tuberculosis, it gives redness around it. If we find the redness in this 5 to 15 millimeters, then it is positive, and if it is greater than 15, we can say it confirm it is positive, that is already patient is with tuberculosis infected. So implication of results, you can see positive, recovered from primary infection or vaccinated by BCG, because sometimes this BCG vaccine also gives a positive test because of its antibodies, and triple positive, you can say a possible active infection, and negative means a person who has deficient cell mediated immunity, AIDS patient, or has no contact with any tuberculosis including BCG. So these are the susceptible reasons for this. And finally you can see we have come to the laboratory diagnosis. So in the laboratory diagnosis, we actually in microscopy we use ZH stain, fluorescent stain, and culture solid media, especially LJ, that is Livingston, Jason, and liquid Middlebrook media, and Backtech, and identification by biochemical test, and AST, resistant ratio method, absolute concentration method, proportion method, Backtech, and nucleic acid detection by PCR, LCR, NASBA, SDA, DNA probes, and antibody detection by ELISA, RIA, latex agglutination, and skin test by tuberculin test, and animal inoculation in guinea pigs, and other tests like adenosine deaminase estimation, tuberculosis steric acid detection, and bromide partition test. So this test we do. So this ones, let us see here. So diagnosis of active pulmonary tuberculosis include clinical symptoms, image diagnosis including chest radiograph, that is X-ray, and isolation of M. tuberculosis from clinical material. So isolation of M. tuberculosis is determinant factor. It is a golden standard. So you have the principles of prevention and treatment. So what are the drugs we suggest? Actually we use the bactericidal and also bacteriostatic drugs. So what are the bactericidal drugs? Like rifampicin, isoniazidine, pyranizidine, and also streptomycin. And bacteriostatic drugs are ethambutol, cycloserine, capreomycin, kanamycin, and also ciprofloxacin, because this is resistant to many drugs, antibiotics nowadays. So actually it is better to give multiple drugs so that at least one drug may act on it and help us to prevent this. So what are the prophylactic measures? Here we can see all those things. So prevention, tracing and control infectious disease, early detection, treatment of cases, cutting of epidemic transmission route, developing good health habits, protecting susceptible populations, Bacillus Chlamydia vaccine, that is BCG vaccine. And principles of prevention and treatment. So treatment is application of antibiotic drugs, inozedate, rifampicin. Drug resistant is a big problem. So chronic disease, long process, so it will give many. So these drugs are given in long period of time. One approach to treatment is direct observed therapy, that is DOT, in which healthcare workers observes the patient taking the medication or not. So this is all about tuberculosis.